Hello and a warm welcome to the Historics podcast. Now this week without Vicky Butler-Henderson, I'm at the helm, historic specialist Mathew Priddy, and joining me this week are my fellow specialists, Dominic Lake.
Morning.
And the vertically challenged James Good.
Good morning.
Here's what's coming up on this week's show. We look back at a successful September auction. We look at how the fuel crisis affected cars, especially classic cars. We look ahead to our next auction on the 27th of November at Mercedes-Benz World. And we look at some film car chases. All that to come, but please, before you start, if you do like to listen to our innate ramblings about classic cars and the classic car market, please do like and subscribe and follow us on our social media channels. So, chaps, how did September go for you?
It's always great to be at Ascot. Love the open space, the accessibility, and I think our client base seemed to like it as well. And what a great selection of cars we had. Yeah. Such an eclectic range of vehicles.
So we sold over 80%, that's right, isn't it? So over 80% sales in any auction. That's impressive.
Impressive considering there were quite a lot of people that probably didn't come because they didn't have any fuel to get there.
More about that later.
They could have taken the train. They probably chose not to. But I think that they did
It
a
does
lot of
seem a bit
viewing
counterintuitive
online.
though, doesn't it, to go to a classic car show on the train? You know?
It does, but...
That's where the phrase petrol heads from, or petrol can't get heads. Or
well, so the hiccup was really the fuel crisis. That kind of kept things.
Well, I think it certainly we were sort of percentage-wise down perhaps on people coming to view, but I don't think the end result reflected the problem with the petrol.
And how do you think the market is then, considering how well we've done then in September? We're going into what traditionally used to be our strongest sale pre-COVID.
I think the market's quite strong. I still think that old saying of, good cars sell well, I still think is there. I think people are more receptive of the market. I think they employ perhaps specialists in certain fields to look at certain cars above a certain level so they can get a better idea as the value of the asset they're about to invest in, a bit like art or anything else.
So good cars make good money.
Absolutely.
And if you look at the fact that all of us in the office have consigned more cars at this point in the year than we did last year, there's no shortage of cars to consign and no shortage of people want to buy them as well. So,
I think there's still a lot of people in the market who wanted to realise cash. So they can sell their asset tax-free. They can relinquish their cash. Within 2 weeks, they have the cash in the bank. And I think that's very attractive to a lot of people.
Still no interest rates. Unless you're into Bitcoin, I suppose. There's not an awful lot of ways to make your money go further.
And they're looking to raise interest rates probably in spring next year by 0.2 to 0.5%. So now's a good time.
Now it's probably the best time then, yes. Get on the phones.
Excellent. Good time.
We're going to go into a little bit more detail on this fuel crisis because I was having to think of this whilst I was sat in my only traffic jam. I'm a bit smug. I sort of didn't really get involved. I had a full tank when it all came about.
Did your car turn itself off?
It had the old start-stop, of course. Yes. So when I was sat there, and I was sort of a bit of an epiphany moment thinking, well, we thought as a family, about an electric car. Last time round we made change. But it just didn't make sense. We ran the numbers like everyone does, looked online, and no, probably not. But as you're sat in that fuel, you think, well, fuel is only one thing. It's fuel. It has to come across refined petrol. It's at the pumps. These, smug electronic car owners at the time that were going past beeping and waving at us all, the electricity can be made from a number of different sources.
I think the trouble is with it, I live in London, and in the street that I live in, there are certain electric points on the street. Well, if you live up there and the electric point is down there, there's no way you're going to fill it up.
So
where do you live? Do you live up there or down there?
Well, sometimes I'm up there and I wander down. But either way, if you can't plug your car in to...
I'll tell you what would suit you. Charging at the pub. You go to the pub, you charge it, you leave your car there for the night charging.
I get charged
come back in the morning.
Pub, so then the cost of wine and beer has gone up.
So what was the craziest thing you saw or amount you paid during that week, 2 weeks?
I was told on the Monday that we were at auction that there was some fuel to be had at the Beaconsfield services. So I queued to see that the sign said it was £1.56 a litre, which is more than I've paid, I think, anywhere. But they didn't have any of the £1.56 when I got to the pump. They only had the good stuff at £1.70 a litre.
But I did beat you this morning. I paid £1.68 at Aston services.
For normal unleaded?
Normal unleaded, not the special one, the normal one.
And what was the longest you sat in the queue for?
That was that one, 25 minutes.
Half an hour.
Half an hour, I think I was there. And I laughed. It was actually very British. You'd have some people that you always get this sort of one trying to come in, and there was arguments that peeled. But there was also a couple of times I sat there and a lady would get out, there was a passenger in the car, and would go 6 or 7 cars down and help manage the cars onto the forecourt. which was incredible, because one thing one of the guys at the petrol stations told me was, we're making less money. So how can you make less money? You've got queues of people. He said, well, because no one's spending any money in the shop. By the time they get to us, they're done. They just want to get out of here.
I did see rather amusing, where I lived just outside Richmond, there's a big BP station there. And there was a queue of cars waiting to go to the fuel station. And what they didn't know is they were actually queuing up behind a parked car with no one in, not going to the fuel station. It's a residential road.
Okay, so and this is an if, because I don't think we're quite there yet, but we must be getting closer. If and when your next car comes up, how close are you, do you think? Let's say Mark put an electric charge point here. How close would you be?
It's tempting, isn't it? And I'm not an early adopter for any sort of new technology. The last person I know to have an iPhone, the last person, you know that. So, but as that stage now, they've been around long enough and they are good enough that they are worth considering.
James? I mean, so let's say you had one outside the front of your house where you park your car, just for argument's purposes. Would you then think, okay...
I probably wouldn't go for full electric. I'd probably go for a hybrid. Yeah. That would be... At the moment, I'm 50% there, not 100%.
Interesting.
And I don't like Tesla. I think it probably make me quite ill, actually.
Okay. And
you can't hear it.
So what about this? So what about classic cars being converted to electric? Because interestingly, I met a client whilst at the last auction who's just started to convert Beetles to electric. And they're going to be leasing them in London, so a slightly different philosophy. But one of the arguments was, well, in that case, some of these classic cars won't be then thrown away and trashed. They can be recycled and reused to be like a London bus.
I don't like the idea of it.
No. I was with a client last week who has a collection of rather eclectic cars, one of which he has a 356 Porsche, which he's just stripped to make it look like a rat car. So it's stripped all the paintwork off down to the metal. He's just had a quote from a place in Germany to convert it for £55,000. He can convert it to electric,
55,
which he's considering,
And I can see the idea. I think the only worry is that with classics, it's much more evocative. There's a noise.
Classic car is a classic car. It's petrol driven.
Yeah.
It's not electric.
So you'd be talking like Singers.
See the premium that you pay for an E-Type that's matching numbers. I mean, people are after originality. This absolutely flies in the face of all of that.
Matching Duracell.
Matching batteries.
Or Everready or something.
Yeah. So the world's not ready for this, we think. I'm sure there'll be a few crazy
Not yet.
That
I mean, there'll come a time when, the first ever Tesla that came out will be for sale as a classic car.
It's challenge for Tesla at auction.
As they move into perhaps hydrogen-powered cars. And what are they going to do with all these batteries then when they're all finished?
No, that's a larger discussion.
Where are they going to go?
It's not. We've always said that the most environmentally sort of safe way, the best way to look after your planet, is just not sell your car. Just keep using it. A chap that's got a 1950s V8 American gas guzzler is still in a better position than the chap that's bought 6 Teslas in a row, because they've all got to be made.
Well, there's an amusing thing I saw the other day. It was a video of a big sort of JCB thing that was just electric, which a lot of these things are, these Caterpillar sort of things.
Yes, companies having to tick boxes.
Well, this thing, the battery had run out and it was on charge overnight from a big diesel generator.
But that's the irony of it.
There you go, defeats the object.
I mean, the only plus side on electric is you can get it from nuclear, from sun, from wind, from what have you, but they're probably not there yet, are they? They're just not ready. And so we're going to say no to classics at the moment.
No to classics.
Next auction. Now, we've been out on the road, even with the petrol crisis, seeing other cars. What have we got? What have you got, Dom, that's particularly high on your...
I've always liked these because I was around them when they were launched. Aston Martin Vanquish.
Yep, I love a Vanquish.
2+2, great big V12 engine, paddle shift change, sleek, ex-James Bond styling as well,
Incredible value.
Incredible value. Estimated between late 40s and mid 50s, this car. I just love it.
James, what have you
got? Car for the money. Well, I have consigned a championship-winning Vauxhall Chevette HSR, long wheelbase, so they're called, which is totally original. It's got the original body shell. Fantastic car, wonderful history. It won a championship in Ireland, in Limerick, back in 1981.
Yep.
It campaigned in 1980 with a woman driver whose name I can't remember at the moment. And it's got continuous history, and it is mint condition, ready to go. It's on the button. Now, they're rare. You don't see many of those. And it's sub 100,000, and I think that, on the day, I think that could be a bit of a star.
See,
looking forward to it.
On that rare scale, so I'm just about to consign a Lancia Hyena. Now, that is basically a Lancia Delta Integrale underneath, but with a Zagato bodied. all sort of fiberglass, lightweight, very rare. I think they were all left-hand drive.
I saw a picture of that.
Yeah,
She showed me.
that's going to be interesting.
Exceptional.
It's obviously a small marketplace, but that's ideally what we like to look for, isn't it? It's just a pretty little car, very, very niche marketplace.
To keep up the Aston Martin James Bond theme, it looks today very much like we'll consign an Aston DB5. I saw the film this week. No spoilers
I still haven't
on the
seen
new
it.
Bond film, so I won't tell you. You can't believe you're in there for 3 hours. It flies by. Great stuff. And of course, the DB5 features heavily again.
Great.
Why not? I think of all the cars he's ever driven, it's probably,
What colour
it's
is the
probably
one?
best.
What's your one?
It's gold, but I can't remember I can't remember the proper Aston name. It sounds
Okay.
much nicer than just gold. But,
Okay.
Well, on that movie thing...
but no machine guns, I'm afraid.
No. See, I was ill last week. I'll probably hear it. I was ill over the weekend, so I was sort of catching up on my movies, my car movies. Sad, I know. And I got watching this movie called Six Underground. It's got what's his name? Ryan Reynolds, sort of comedic modern actor on Netflix. There are other streaming devices available. And this opening car chase through Florence with an Alfa Romeo Giulia, the saloon car, coolest car, modern saloon Q car going, was 20 minutes long. 20 minutes of a car chase all the way through Florence. And in all fairness, it wasn't boring.
Wow.
The rest of the movie, I don't think it was okay, but the car chase for 20 minutes.
About as long as the car chase and Bullet.
Well, at this
Well,
point...
what are your favourite car chase movies?
So this was what I thought we would do. Let's have a look at the best car chase movies that we've seen. And that brought me to the fact that I then made myself, for the first time, you'll be shocked at this, watch Bullet at the weekend as well.
Wow.
And actually, I was disappointed.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's quite old-fashioned now.
So the ones I've got down, and I've sort of picked 6 that I think you need to put into some sort of favourite. Let's see how we get with them. So the first one, and you probably all know this, is Ronin.
Got to be my favourite. Got to be my favourite. The Audi A8 in that aluminium-bodied 4-wheel drive, I think just blows it away. I think that's just a phenomenal car
It
scene.
was just Q car, full of Q cars, wasn't it?
Great big lumpy BMW, Mercedes. In that film, I'm told, they used a French Formula One racing driver to do some of the scenes, and they took all of the cast out on advanced driving technique courses, just so that they were just used to driving at over 100 miles an hour around streets. They also filmed it in real time. So there's no clever photography trickery. There's no speeding up of the scenes so that the light doesn't affect. So they are driving cars pretty much at the speed that you see them going.
It did feel
got
so
to be
real.
my favourite. And De Niro's great in it.
I have to say,
I must admit, when he's driving, you still get a bit of the old De Niro there.
there is one which I bet is not on your list, and it's not a car chase,
You're gonna buckle the list.
but
I knew we should have been
back in I think it was about 1966, 67, the Ferrari 275 GTB had a camera mounted inside the grille, and a French Formula One driver drove the car at speed at the crack of dawn through the streets of Paris. The driver is nameless. The director, I understand, was arrested. The film was called Rendezvous, and it's basically little stories about the chap that he drove this 275 GTB Ferrari through Paris at real time, so the camera is not speeded up, and it's the most fantastic piece of filming. It was in the grille underneath, put a little camera there, and I think one on top, I can't remember, and one inside, but you never saw the driver.
See, amazingly, I've seen remakes of this, even to this day, again, presumably illegal or some that haven't, which they'll still do to this day with souped-up Toyota Supras and things like that, and it's very famous.
This is evocative.
Not a
It's
movie,
amazing.
though.
Yeah.
So you've gone right off piste.
Completely. But it's
off
brilliant.
piste.
It's
Vicky
brilliant.
will be really
And
disappointed.
it knocks spots off any of that like you got right there.
So we did Ronin. Bullet would be the other one.
Not that old.
The Italian Job, the original Italian Job.
Ah, yes.
I've got to put that in there.
Definitely.
Because I think, I can remember it, but only barely. I haven't watched it under eyes because of the god-awful remake. Obviously came about with the newer minis not that long ago.
Oh, yeah.
But one I remember fondly was the Blues Brothers, the police car pilot.
Oh, yes.
Do you know, in which I think they destroyed over 100 cars in that scene.
They're probably worth nothing in America, those cars.
They just literally smashed them all together, just kept filming.
Brilliant.
Very much like Smokey and the Bandit. Is that kind of era. I grew up watching that, and that's still cool. And I've got this very weird story about my father, he insists to this day, he loves the movie. But he said, right, when I'm gone, boys, when I finally go, you've both got to be sat in the front of the crematorium, dressed fully like Jake and Elwood,
What, with the glasses?
Glasses on, and he said, when they press that button and that curtain goes, I said, I want that music. He said, and that will make my day. That's my only final wish.
Just say, yeah, Dad, we're going to do that.
Yeah, we do that, yeah. There's no inheritance, so on.
Okay.
All right, the next one I had to be in there, of course, was the Goldfinger Aston Martin. So the first DB5 with all of the toys on it.
Well, very much like the current
gadgets.
film, they drive better in those films than they ever drive in real life. You know, because the boss has got one, and we've all had the pleasure of driving his DB5.
I just can't get it to handbrake turn that car.
Well, they don't handle anything. Water. I mean, they're terrible.
Yeah. But the ones on the film seem to be a lot better than the one that you've been getting. Yeah,
I don't understand. I mean, maybe we should take marks out again and try again. Perhaps it would work.
Yeah.
Give it a few knocks and bangs.
And then the other one I had, now this might or might not, is the Eleanor Mustang from the Gone in 67. From the Gone in 67.
I sold the original Eleanor Mustang.
Did you?
It arrived at a company I was with before. Still got the original nitrous oxide bottle in it. It had been disconnected.
Yeah.
All the letters of authenticity from the film company that made the film, and it was one that Angelina Jolie was in, etc., etc. And we took it for a burn up and down the 316 in Richmond, and it's fantastic.
That was one of the best reasons to watch that movie, Angelina Jolie.
Sold it for about £60,000 to a Hong Kong Chinese buyer. Yeah, it went to Hong Kong.
So imagine that, £60,000. Think about what did the Aston Martin that went recently that had all the James Bond bits on it?
I'm not sure.
Huge amounts of money in the States. And I mean, okay, this is not James Bond, but that's a very iconic car.
Yeah.
I mean, of Mustangs, of course, that's the two that you see plenty of.
Yeah.
It's either Bullet recreations or Eleanor recreations all the time, and some better than others. I must admit, having seen both movies recently, I would prefer a Bullet Mustang over an Eleanor. I just think they're a little cooler.
Well, it's a bit more of a classic, really, isn't it?
No, I just think it's just a little bit
much more fun.
Yeah,
much more fun. I think the Eleanor one's a bit too modern, personally.
So, 1 to 6. Have you written them down at all? Or have you got them in your head? So, I've put Ronin at the top.
Yeah, me too.
Do you agree?
All day long.
For me, Bullet would be at the top.
God, see, I put that one way down.
No.
Okay.
I love it.
The next one I thought right up there was the Blues Brothers Chase. That's probably my childhood. I just thought it was brilliant.
Second one, I'd put the original
music.
Italian Job.
Did you?
Great fun.
Yeah, I'm with James on that.
It's a classic because it's amusing as well as
this is true.
Good fun with it.
Then I put third for me was the Eleanor, the Gone in 60 Seconds.
Okay.
I love it when the BMW was going through the port and was missed by it was a bit crazy. But again, I quite like that one.
I think I'll slow it down for me.
Yeah. So where did you put Goldfinger and the Aston Martin?
I think I'm at number 3 now. So yeah.
So you went for 3.
Yeah, Ronin, Italian Job,
and then Goldfinger, and then I think I put Italian Job and then Bullet at the end. I really didn't. I think it's a modern thing.
That was a waste of a Saturday, wasn't it? Watching Bullet for you.
Yeah. Well, it's actually not that long, that movie, and actually really difficult to watch because without them being digitally remastered nowadays, it's really difficult to see. It's very dark in that movie. And loads and loads of Steve McQueen-esque sort of, there's no vocabulary, there's no, dialogue for like 5 minutes, just lots of looks. And it's like, very...
I wonder if they had any trouble starting the minis over there in Italy. It was cold in the morning, we started with jump leads.
What, like
we have every auction?
Like we have at auction sometimes.
I very nearly started...
wandering around with a jump pack.
What if I very nearly started on Instagram with jump packs and jerry cans as the real life of an auction?
Imagine Michael Caine with a jump pack.
Because there are some back here. There are some cars from the auction that are going with us, aren't there? There's an SL, Corvette C1, a couple of Lotuses that Dan's bought in from South Africa.
Yes.
Which are being recommissioned as we speak.
Yeah.
So actually, not far to go now. How many weeks have we got until auction?
So November 27th.
Yeah.
So we're a month to go.
Yeah.
And have you guys got anything particularly special you've still got to go and look at? Anything on your radar? Can't give away every secret, of course, because this will come out soon enough.
Potentially an RS lightweight Porsche, which should be quite interesting. I'm waiting to hear on that. I'm waiting to hear. I think it could be a 3.6.
Standard
3.8.
Yes. Last week, you went down to Windsorview Lakes.
I did, and we took out for our client the Duck.
Yes.
The 6-wheel drive. So I can sign that for the auction. And it was a behemoth. It needed a little bit of fettling. The chap who'd owned it before, real enthusiast, had never taken it out on the water. So and the guy who bought it's a really good client of ours. So we spent a few days and we welded up the holes and we made sure that the bilge pump works anyway.
That's not something every historics client can get, I'm assuming.
Depends what you buy. And our glorious leader took us out on the water for the maiden voyage.
You know, like Telly Savalas.
It was amazing.
And you're still here, so it obviously made
and it's still here, and it's not at the bottom. It all worked. The bilge pump was firing at 300 gallons a minute. It's just an amazing bit of kit.
Well, you can find that on our social media channels, of course, and I believe we'll probably also put a little poll up to see which movie car chases you guys think should be 1 to 6. You'll probably disagree with all of us, to be honest with you, but...
Well, open to suggestions.
I mean, usually you've got to be right, though, haven't you?
Well, historics are always right.
Oh, okay. Right, so let's wrap this up before someone wraps us up. Next time round, we'll be in the much more capable hands of Vicky Butler-Henderson. It'll be me, her, and probably one other. So behave yourselves. It could be one of you guys. That will be over at Mercedes-Benz World, just at the other auction. So we'll have a good look around, some driving of some cars. Make sure you like and subscribe so you follow us and keep up to date with everything we're doing. But from now, that's goodbye from me, Matthew, Dominic Lake,
Bye-bye.
and James Good.
Goodbye.